Hey guys, thank you for tuning into my presentation where we'll be taking a look at Harupa Valley's revenue for the fiscal year of 2025 through 2026, and we'll be using the adopted budget provided by the city in order to do this analysis. To begin, Harupa Valley is set to generate $94.74 million for the fiscal year of 2025 through 2026. Of this, the largest contributor is the general fund, contributing 66.8% to the overall revenues, or $63.2 million out of the overall $94.7 million that the city is expected to receive. The next highest category that contributes is at 16.9%, which is the miscellaneous categories. And in third place, Measure A contributes 3.7% of all revenue for the city. However, I wanted to take a little bit of a deeper look at the general fund because it is contributing by far the most for the entire city. And you can see in the right graph that the general fund is bringing in $63.2 million. And out of this, the one biggest bracket that is driving that is 84.4%, or $53 million brought in by taxes. By diving deeper into the tax bracket group, we can see that the highest driver of these taxes are sales and use at 44.2%. SB 130 revenue, otherwise known as just a portion of property taxes, brings in 21.9%. And secured property taxes bring in 12.3% of the overall revenue. Now, these revenue streams really beg the question if Harupa Valley is more regressive or progressive in its taxation. And this question really boils down to an answer that it shows a bit of both in its taxation. Sales tax is by far a very regressive method, as it disproportionately affects lower income families more than wealthier individuals. And while the tax remains constant or the same per transaction, poor families generally have less money in their reserves, which means that this tax is taking a higher share of their reserved funds, while the wealthy have excess funds that can account for these sales taxes. On the other hand, property taxes serve as a progressive counterpart to the regressive sales tax because it only applies to the people that are first well off enough to own their homes. Property taxes are also dependent on the market value of the homes, which means that a higher valued home, and in turn a wealthier individual, will be paying more property tax than a poorer individual who happens to own their home that is valued less. So overall, even though Harupa Valley leans slightly more regressive in its taxation just by numbers alone, it shows shades of both progressive taxation tendencies as well as regressive taxation. And lastly, the articles that I used for my information, the regressive is on the left, as well as the progressive being on the right, so that way you guys can reference what I was using to find my information. Thank you guys so much for listening to my presentation. I look forward to interacting with you all and learning more about your individual cities. Hope y'all have a great day.